Hi guys, my name is Matthew Lopez and today we're going to be talking about how to keep reducing your costs in the industry, and more specifically how to decrease the number of empty miles that you're driving, which is costs that you're incurring but not really making any income, by start using freight brokers. Now, a big part of your transportation industry and the transportation expenses you're incurring can be reduced by reducing the number of empty miles that you're currently driving. Now, when you think about it, really any income that you make to replace that loss is able to help you cover that variable expense or even the fixed expenses that you incur just by having a truck on the road. That could be your insurance, your fuel costs, anything other, your subcontractors, any expenses that you have to pay. Those empty miles are hurting your bottom line as you don't bring any money back, but you still incur a lot of expenses. And really in the industry at the moment, if we take a look at it right now, a lot of the equipment is at a shortage. So because supply is so low, it's causing for one, your equipment to be so expensive, and on top of that, your fuel and all the other costs of the industry is rising year by year. So for you to be able to keep surviving, keep improving your bottom line, it's very important that you make the most use out of all the trucks that you have. Instead of trying to fight the battle of looking for equipment at the moment, it's good to utilize or maximize the utilization of your equipment so you can bring in the most amount of money in the week and the month, but also keep your costs as low as possible by reducing your expenses. Now, as I mentioned, a great way for you to keep improving that bottom line is to reduce your empty miles, which in turn results in you using freight brokers. Now, your first question might be, what is a freight broker and what do they really do for you? So a freight broker is what I really call a middleman. So there's somebody who's going to be working between the shipper and yourselves if you're a carrier watching this video, or if you're in the future looking to get into the transportation industry. What a load broker or a freight broker is going to do for you is they're going to work with their clients, which are the shippers looking to get goods delivered, and in turn that middleman, which is the freight broker, is going to also look for a carrier, in this case yourselves, to deliver that load to the final destination. Now you might be wondering, that's always one of the top questions, is how do they make their money as a freight broker? It's pretty simple, even though being a freight broker does involve a lot of duties and a lot of responsibilities on a daily basis. It really comes down to the price that they agree with their clients, so their shipper, the amount that they have to pay the carriers. The difference is what they call their spread, or really in simple terms, it's just their gross margin. Now you might be also wondering, who is the freight broker and how do you find these in the industry? So typically a freight broker could be somebody, just an individual like yourself. If you didn't get into the carrier business or the transportation business, then you could be a load broker just owning your own business. It really involves a lot of connections and a lot of knowledge of your industry, as you do need to negotiate between your clients, have a lot of clients to bring in your revenue, and also have a number of carriers to be able to always get your clients satisfied and make sure their goods are delivered on time, safely, and through a reliable transportation. Now that you know how much they're making, what the freight broker can do for you, and what the freight broker does on a daily basis, you also might be wondering, how does that benefit me as a carrier? So as a carrier, typically you're dealing with picking up a load at point A, getting it delivered to point B, and most of the time you don't have a trip back, so that requires you to drive back to your home base on an empty mile, meaning on an empty truck. You're not making any income to drive back, you're just incurring costs, which could be your fixed costs, could be your variable costs. Now, in order for you to reduce those empty miles, freight brokers is where it comes in to be able to help you out as a carrier. So the way that it works is you want to stay connected with a lot of freight brokers, as the way that would usually operate for you is a freight broker has a number of clients. That client reaches out to them wanting their goods delivered at a certain time, certain day, and typically it could be something along the lane that you're typically traveling across. That is when the broker would negotiate with their clients and negotiate with you to have that product delivered safely and on a reliable time. Now, the only way that this system works is that the price that you offer the broker is a good enough price for them to still make their share, so make their gross margin depending how much they're making from their clients. But also, in the other hand, from you as a carrier, your rate cannot be so low that driving empty is actually cheaper or less of a cost for your business than moving that load for such a low rate that you're really actually losing money on the amount of cost that you're incurring. So really what you have to do to be able to make this system work is to first analyze your books, be aware of your profit and loss, your bottom line of your transportation, and know how low of a rate can you provide the broker to be able to still make money or make more money than you would if you were driving on an empty mile back to your home base. And obviously, once you have that number in mind, typically you find a broker that is able to accommodate and have shippers who's also paying them a little bit more than what they have to pay you, which allows you to really make both parties happy. And at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt your business, it decreases the number of empty miles that you're driving, and in turn improves your bottom line. So now that we explained a little bit of how a carrier can benefit from having or working with a freight broker, of course we can't ignore the fact that a lot of you, even when entering the industry, if you've been in the industry for quite a long time, you've been using load boards your whole entire life to be able to get those loads. But like our partners at eCapital said it best, using a load board is like trying to buy the best car for the cheapest price at a nationwide auction that all your competitors are going to be present. So when you're in this auction or when you're in the load board, you got to find a load quickly and you got to act quickly before another carrier takes that away from you. And on top of it, usually you're getting a load from a shipper or from a client that you really don't know, so you're taking a big risk in the industry. The reason this is a big danger for you is obviously in the transportation industry, as you already know, the margins are very, very slim and you really can't afford to move a load and not get paid for it at the end of the day. So if you do choose to still use a load board and not work with a freight broker, then what we're going to be providing you down in the description is a link for a free credit check tool. So what this tool will do is driven by eCapital, and it allows you to search within seconds the shipper of that load for you to determine whether they have good credit or bad credit and decide then to take on that load or not, and be able to still move the load and get paid at the end of the day. So to finalize things, if you do choose to not use a load board and avoid the hassle and the high risk of doing so, then definitely using a freight broker or working with a freight broker is going to be the way for you to reduce your costs, reduce those empty miles that you're driving, and of course improve your bottom line, as that not only eliminates the cost that you're incurring by driving back empty, but also the time and the hassle that it always takes you to be on the load board, have somebody finding the loads for you, and always trying to organize depending on what loads you already have to be able to get that trip back. Now, if the route for you is working with a freight broker but you're still unsure of what rate you should charge, you don't really know how low you can go to still be profitable or be reasonable for you to take that load on the way back, that is where M7 Taxes can help you, as we can actually break down your books. First, we have to make sure it's organized and up to date, and then we are able to provide you the per mile either revenue or your cost of your business, so you are always aware of how much it's costing you on a monthly basis, weekly basis to operate your business. So when you do reach out to freight brokers and work alongside freight brokers, you have sort of an idea of what rate you have to get to just cover your variable or even some of your fixed costs on a monthly basis. Now, even if we not able to help you organizing your books, or maybe you have multiple trucks and you're wondering how is that possible between multiple trucks, we actually have the technology and the team in place where we're able to not only break down one single truck, but somebody with 15, 20, 30 trucks who's able to take on all that data. Instead of you just seeing one big number at the end of the month, we can actually provide you a per truck mileage cost, so you always know, no matter what truck or what driver is taking on that load, you know what rate you have to provide to be able to cover your costs. So now, if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, click the bell so you know when we release our next one, and obviously follow our page so you can find out more through our content. And like always, we're going to leave a link down in the description so you can always book a meeting with us, a 30-minute consultation where we're able to go over your business free of charge, take a look at where you're at the moment, and find the best way to help you keep growing, improve that bottom line, and obviously always reduce your costs on a monthly basis. Take care until next time.